Alright, so today guys we're going to talk about mass media in the 1920s. And to start off with, who can tell me what mass media is? You can just give me some examples or you can give me a general definition.
Isn't it when like something becomes like really popular
Kind
in
of.
the media and it's like spread around a lot?
Yeah. You might give me some examples of mass media. Yeah.
Magazines?
Magazines. You guys think anything else?
TV, like news
Yeah.
channels?
Okay. So how many of you guys in the last couple of days read a newspaper or watched the news or listened to the radio or read a magazine? Yeah. Alright, so that's mass media, and the official definition is print and broadcast methods of communicating information to a large number of people. And make sure you guys, while we're going through this, that you guys are following along in your guided notes, because this is what you guys will be tested on. Alrighty, so 3 different examples of mass media.
Newspaper?
Radio?
Like a news broadcast on TV, like a news channel?
Alright, good job. Alright, so before the 1920s, the different regions of the US didn't really communicate much. They were pretty much their own separate cultures, and they didn't share ideas or fashions or anything. But this all changed when we created mass media. And the first one we're going to talk about is movies. Movies had been going on since the 1890s, but they really took off in the 1920s. And by the end of the 1920s, movie theaters were showing movies to about 100 million Americans a week. And this is when the total population was about 125 million. So most movies at the time were silent films, and the first talkie or talking film was The Jazz Singer. And movies provided a way to promote ads, propaganda, and unite the country. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys some scenes from some famous movies from the 1920s. I want to see if you guys can guess what the name of the movie is.
Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah. Funnily enough, this was a silent film at the time.
So there was no opera,
Oh,
just the Phantom.
Metropolis.
Good job. Alright, here's the next one.
10 Commandments.
Yeah, this is the original 10 Commandments.
Sorry. Ooh.
You guys know this one? This is pretty
Dracula.
famous. It is a Dracula movie, but it's not what he was originally called in
Is
the
it
movie.
called Van Helsing?
No, it's called Nosferatu.
Oh, good.
So creepy. Nightmares.
Yeah, it's a terrifying silent film. There's just some creepy music all throughout.
Wow.
Alright, so do you guys remember what the importance of movies was in the 1920s?
Probably made a lot of money.
Yeah, it made a lot of money. It became one of the most successful industries during the 1920s.
You could put like ads in front of the movies
Yeah,
so they could promote like businesses and stuff.
yeah. So there were a lot of ads, and it was also a great way to promote propaganda.
War movies.
Yep. Alright, so next thing we're going to talk about is newspapers. And the newspapers were really important because this is what really started creating the common culture of America. And all the different regions of the US started thinking of themselves as Americans instead of, well, this is the South, and this is the Midwest, and this is the North. Because people started sharing the same information, they were reading about the same news, and they were all influenced by the same ideas and fashions, and they were all getting the same ads. And during the 1920s, newspapers started increasing in size and in the number of readers, and smaller newspapers started getting bought up or merged with bigger newspaper outlets. So that's when we started getting stuff like the San Francisco Times or the New York Times and stuff like that. Alright, so why were newspapers important?
Everybody was on the same page, so to speak.
Nicely done.
No.
Alright, so the next one is radio. So in the 1920s, pretty much everyone had a radio set. And after World War I, the government took off a lot of the restrictions that they had placed on radio. So a lot of people started experimenting with them, and a lot of the radio sets at the time were homemade. And in 1922, there were over 500 radio stations on the air. And kind of like newspapers, a lot of the smaller stations started being linked together. So Americans were sharing the same information, they were listening to the same jokes, and the same commercials, and the same music, and the same sports events and religious events, and all that fun stuff.
They're religious events?
Or not religious events, religious services.
Hmm.
So,
No.
so what was the importance of radio?
So kind of unite the nation. They were like learning about the same things and participating in the same things.
Good job. Alright, so now we're going to quickly run through the effects of mass media on society. So around this time we started getting what we now call American heroes. And these heroes range from sports stars to pilots to celebrities and movie stars. And I'm going to show you guys a picture of some of you guys. We get out a piece of paper and I'm going to give you about 5 seconds on each picture and you guys will write down who you think that person is. Alright, so you guys ready?
Shoot.
I'm gonna on your board.
Yeah.
What's that guy's name? The skateboardist?
Alright, this one's a little bonus one. He wasn't really a hero, but he was pretty famous at the time. Alright, so who would you guys say this one was?
Charlie Chaplin.
Good job. He was a comic actor and filmmaker during the silent film era, and he got pretty famous. And if we had time, I'd show you guys a clip, but we don't. Who'd you guys say for this one?
Louis Armstrong.
Good job. He was a jazz trumpeter and singer.
I do not know this.
This is Buster Keaton. Like
Oh.
Charlie Chaplin was an actor, comedian, filmmaker, and stuntman.
Okay.
So he's really famous for doing crazy stunts in his movies. Which this is before the time when we really had wires and CG and safety regulations. So it's all kind of impressive.
Yeah.
Really get hurt. Good job.
Is that Charles Ingrid?
It is. He was the first aviator to fly solo nonstop from New York to Paris in some really bad weather.
Oh.
Who'd you
Henry
guys-
Ford.
Henry Ford. Good job. This one's a little hard.
She looks like a wrestler.
Her name's Gertrude Durrell, and she was the first woman to swim across the English Channel.
Oh.
Rocky Balboa.
This is Jack Dempsey. Yeah, this is Jack Dempsey, who was a professional boxer at the time.
Oh. Is that Howard Hughes?
No, it's Ernest Hemingway. This is a more famous picture of him, so you might recognize him better in that picture. But he wrote Farewell to Arms and Old Man in the Sea, and lots of other stuff. This is Harry Houdini. You guys guess what this one is?
Great
Yep,
Houdini.
Babe Ruth. And who was your bonus?
Oh.
Al Capone, good job. Alright, and this is the time when we also got jazz, and the radio combined with African American immigration to the big cities created the jazz movement. And some of the features of jazz improv where the musicians just kind of made up the music while they were on stage performing it, and syncopation, which is an offbeat rhythm. And it soon became a nationwide craze. Go back. They'll let me play it. I played a little sound clip for you guys, but I don't think it's gonna let me do it. Oh, this soon became a nationwide craze, especially with young people. In the 1920s became the jazz age. And so they created jazz clubs and the young people were going out and dancing. It was really looked down on at first. It was the devil's music and just not like anything else that they had heard before, but eventually it caught on. And so another thing mass media did was it created this national culture, which is kind of the theme that we've had throughout this lesson. America became more united, and they were all listening to the same music, wearing the same clothes, and hearing the same ideas. And information could travel across the country in a matter of seconds. So it didn't matter if you were living in the big city where all the news was happening, or if you lived in a farmhouse way in the middle of nowhere. You were hearing the same news in a matter of seconds. So what kind of effects did mass media have on society?
They united the nation.
Made celebrities kind of a thing.
Yeah, we didn't really have celebrities before this point. Alright. So at this point we'll get into groups and we'll be going over some of the ads that they had in the 1920s.
5 seconds.
Woo!